My name's Kip Berkey. I'm going to be going over our disaster recovery miracles with VMware. If you think about what we've all experienced through DR, being able to do DR simply and easily and reliably is probably a miracle. I asked them not to put miracles up here to begin with because it's really not a miracle. It's pretty simple with SRM, and that's what I hope to help explain and share our story at the Department of Developmental Disabilities, how we used SRM to simply set up our DR plan. So again, what you'll take away from here is how to implement your DR plan at a high level. If you have technical questions, I have someone here who can assist me with technical questions. I'm going to go through how we actually set it up, why we did it, what were the reasons, obviously, DR. Understanding disaster recovery benefits for virtualization and private cloud. Part of what we did at DODD was a private cloud. We're going to turn it into a hybrid cloud here very soon. But part of that was we had to have disaster recovery for what we were putting in at 2 data centers. Department of Developmental Disabilities. We are the 4th largest agency in the state of Ohio. We have 10 developmental centers in the state of Ohio. We take care of those individuals, 80,000 plus individuals in the state with developmental disabilities and those who provide care to those people. I'm jumping ahead of my agenda here a little bit. Okay, there we go. That's who we are. We process more than $1 billion in Medicaid payments, which is a lot. So we have a lot that we're responsible for, and we cannot miss a beat in payments or who we're providing services to, and those that are providing services to our residents. Our technology goals, of course, those are the same as all of us here today. We needed a reliable, agile, and highly available infrastructure. We wanted to create an effective disaster recovery strategy. I was previously coming to the government. I was in finance for 20 years, experience with having multiple DR sites, recovering to SunGuard, going through on weekends, and trying to get things to work. And when the CIO or president asked me how things were going on the disaster recovery exercises, I would put my hand behind my back, cross my fingers, and say, "Perfect. Couldn't be better. We're recovering just as we expect to." So I'm sure all of you have experienced that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here in this room to understand what SRM can do for you. Now, this is what, of course, we all do here as well.
I'm pleased to report another stellar week of accomplishments. I moved more than 800,000 bits of data to a disaster recovery backup facility.
Did you just take credit for copying a file to a disk?
It was my resume.
So obviously disaster recovery can be a lot of things to a lot of different people. I tried to add a little humor in here because just reading slides is kind of boring. Disaster recovery with SRM is very, very simple. The technology itself, you've used maybe different technologies in the past, but with SRM, the technology and the capabilities of doing it, as long as your SAN has that capability too, and you have 2 different recovery sites, you could have them at the same site if you wanted to, is very simple to set up. The devil's in the details about how you plan for that, how you configure it, and how you maintain it. So one of the things, the need for, obviously, the reason we went to virtualization, this was a little mixed, why we went to virtualization and getting to SRM. But we had a lot of servers that were physical. We wanted to move to virtual. We needed to for different reasons. We had application service levels that we couldn't keep up with, and we had hardware power consumption costs that were out of control. We had servers at our 10 developmental centers, a data center at each one, not only there but at our headquarters site. We didn't have a disaster recovery capability at the time, so we needed to make a change with doing our virtualization plan. I have another quick over here. This one's even better.
Our disaster recovery plan goes something like this. Someday we hope to have a budget.
All right. So what are we doing with Site Recovery Manager and our compellent SAN? Really quick, what we set up, we wanted to keep it as simple as possible. So we brought up a second data center. We have 2 clusters of VMware hosts, 1 at each data center. We did a stretched VLAN, layer 2 VLAN between the 2 sites to keep it as simple as possible. So when we did our recovery, we didn't have to worry about changing IP addresses on the servers. We have 2 gigaman connections between the sites. And of course, we have Site Recovery Manager at each location, and the SAN is replicating. If you have a SAN that integrates with SRM, it is really point click, so simple. My staff let me do it just a little bit. And the scary thing is the test button and the execution button are right next to each other, so they wouldn't let me near that screen. But it is that simple. Once we set it up as to what protection groups you had, what plans you had, it is a matter of just clicking for the test, and you did your test. I was trying to think of how much material I could bring into this presentation to tell you, these are all the details of SRM. But to be honest, the technical details are very few. It's about 20%. But non-technical details are 80%. How you plan your lung groups, how you plan your hosts, your protection groups. SRM is also not a catch-all for everything that you have virtualized. There are some things that SRM won't work on. Exchange servers, we use the DAG capability with Exchange to do that. Your domain controllers obviously aren't going to work very well if you do them with SRM and you have them down for a while. There are other servers that probably won't work with SRM, but 95+% of your servers and your systems will work with SRM. And not only will they work, it'll be easy. It is really my DR/SAN administrator stood up DR for us in about an hour. Once we had the configuration of the SAN going and everything, all the pieces connected, it was simply that easy to do. After we had it set up, about a month after we had it set up, we thought, we should probably test this, and we're kind of holding our breath. It can't be this easy just to click a button and test it. Not only that, we're like, well, should we test it during the day? Should we test it at night? Everyone's experience with DR testing is kind of a scary thing. We actually had enough confidence in what the team did. We actually tested it during the day, and we were able to cover the majority of our environment in only about an hour. And that, by recovery, we mean what we did for our SAN is SRM gives you a lot of flexibility in how you bring it up over there. You can bring it up so the VM hosts are over there sitting and ready for you to bring them up one at a time manually, or you can script it to where you have a server, this server comes up first, this server comes up second, and how you bring up your whole environment. So it gives you flexibility that you can bring up things in your order that you want to. It just isn't one big, you hit the button and everything comes up all at once. So it's a lot of flexibility in how you bring up the disaster recovery plan. Boy, I got the summary already. This will be a short session. Any questions? We normally have questions at the end, but any questions on what we did with SRM or why SRM and not some other products?
What was the business plan business problem you're trying to solve?
Our business problem was that we committed with the money we were spending with our new environment that we'd have the capability to recover our systems in under, we made the guess in under 6 hours. We wanted to make that and deliver on that plan because for our agency to be down anything more than that and not be able to cover Medicaid payments could be disastrous to a lot of people in the state. So we had to bring that system back up as soon as possible. And you don't have to bring all the systems up at one time. You don't have to set up your SRM. You can crawl, walk, run, setting up SRM. You can set up, your 10 most important servers that come up. Go with that plan for a little while, trust and verify, and then keep adding to it. So SRM is very flexible in how you design it and how you actually execute with it. I'm sorry, yes. Yes. It is for both. So we have a headquarters site and we have a computer data center site, and most of our servers, production servers reside there. So our DR site is actually our primary corporate headquarters, and our primary data center is off-site. And we have SANs at both, and we replicate the SANs of snapshots and replicate between the two. So if our security center gets hit by an airplane or anything like that, we back up to our headquarters site.
How far apart are you talking? Different city, metro?
I wish. It's metro, so it's one side of Columbus versus the other side of Columbus. I wish it could be farther, but we wanted to start there, and you bring up a good point. So with SRM, you have the flexibility of doing a lot of things with SRM. You can move data centers. It can help you in a lot of different ways, just not in VR. So if we were to move our secondary location to a different spot that's more, farther away, Cleveland or Cincinnati, something like that for us. Right now we're in Columbus, Ohio. That's a very easy thing for us to do with SRM. We can bring up those environments there, connect it, replicate the SRM at those locations, and we're up and running. It's not transporting servers and doing a lot of complex stuff, so it gives us flexibility when we're ready to move to another secondary site, which is probably better farther away.
It's coming from Omaha, and we're in the middle of a 500-year flood. So high ground is free.
Any high ground. Gotcha. Yes, sir.
Extra secondary DR card is just a storage there that lets us say, like data,
That's a great question. Our second DR site started out as we were using it as two things, a DR site and a pre-production site for our pre-production servers. We just didn't want to sit there and do nothing, right? What we found out, though, server sprawl took over, and our app dev team quickly spun up about 200 more servers at that site. And while we were going to leave our SAN just with SATA drives, the compellant SAN just with SATA drives, we quickly found out that wasn't going to suffice. And as we rationalized through the process of what we really want to do if we do have a disaster, we knew we could move most of our systems over. So from a capacity perspective, we said, okay, we don't need 100% of our production servers in a true disaster, right? Because you're just trying to get the basic things back up and running. But as we thought through it and with the complications of the server sprawl, we realized we actually really needed to make the DR site near time, if not equal to, the production site. So we just recently upgraded the SAN at the DR site, and it has fiber channel drives and the SATA drives, and equivalent capabilities from an IOPS perspective at both sites. And that's very important from a planning perspective for your DR site. You can scale it small, medium, and large depending on how much and how fast you want to recover and what performance you want to give your users in a true disaster. Disaster recovery is not necessarily a high availability thing because you can build high availability into your cluster. We use HP C7000 with blades, and you can build high availability there. So disaster recovery, it's hard to try to convince your business folks and people with the money that you really need to spend the money on just a disaster recovery site. So we made the disaster recovery site a dual purpose. It's a pre-production and disaster recovery site, which helps us get the funding needed to give it that full capability to recover. So when we do recover, the apps will perform at the same level as they do in the production site. Yes, sir. It is not as easy as failing over. There is some effort to failing back that you have to go through, and it would take a lot longer to do that. Kevin, would you be able to address that one in a little more technical detail?
Sure, I can address that for you.
Kevin Moats is part of the team, embedded part of the team from a key strategic provider in our area, and he was embedded with my team for over a year, making the solution, making it work. Very key. Thank you, Kevin. Mm-hmm.
Were you a Dell shop that bought HP blades or an HP shop that bought a Dell fan?
No, we had Compellant when we started our virtualization project, which was we virtualized 100% of our servers in 9 months. So we're technically 98%. We virtualized 100% of the servers that we wanted to, and we were HP servers before that. We had a very, very small Compellant SAN. Otherwise, we had physical servers with local disk on them. So when we architected our new virtual environment, we looked at what we had, we looked at competitors. We loved Compellent as well. It was easy. It made things very, very simple with its data progression. Didn't have to worry about it. Didn't take an army of folks to do what you need to do on a SAN to make sure the data gets in the right spot and is successful for those high-speed environments. So we simply went with Compellent. I mean, it was, not to use this in a joking way, but it's compelling to go with Compellent since we already had it. I sound like a marketing Compellent guy, but I'm not. And the HP, we always had HP servers. We knew them. There are lots of different solutions you could use, but HP was very good, and we liked the blade system and how it worked. So we have 2 C7000s with 16 blades in each of those for our production environment today. And it's made it very easy. We've been continually expanding as service faults continue to happen, mostly in the pre-production environment, but and scaling those has been very easy. Adjusting the SRM. You do have to keep watch on your SRM environment, though. It's not like you just sit up and forget about it. As you add servers, you got to make sure you're adding them. You're adding them in the right way. You're adding them to the right protection groups, your recovery plans, and how they're set up. And you do want to test it. I mean, you've got the capability with SRM. You can test that, and you could test it once a week if you wanted to. Not only does it allow you to test it, but now your plan is completely documented. So when those auditors come in and they go, show me your recovery plan, technically you can show them a plan, you can print it out, and there's your plan. It's that easy. That's why I'm struggling with content for this presentation is, how do I make this compelling, no joke again, to work with SRM. But you set up your plan, you can push the easy button, you can test it. You don't impact production while you're doing testing, and it comes up. Yes? It's a great question. My good friend Kevin.
So the difference between the actual SRM test
and the recovery plans are customizable. You can script those recovery plans. So it gives you a basic recovery plan in SRM where it takes the steps about 12, 15 steps to recover a host. But you can customize those. So if you need something that you need to start before this one and you need to launch a service before this, you can customize that. It's nice. We have 2 at our production site, and we have 1 fully equipped C7000 at the DR site. Primarily because we just installed the second C7000 at our production site, and the number of servers that we have running there, part of them are what's not pre-production but UAT and testing environments that we don't need to recover over at the other site. So we wanted to make sure we had enough capacity to recover everything that was what we called level 1 mission critical applications over there. There are some systems that we know we won't recover in a true disaster recovery. They're not critical to bring up in the first 24 or 48 hours. If it's needed over the next week or so, then we can buy more equipment, configure them, and bring those up. They are over there to bring up. It's just a matter of do you have the capacity and systems to bring them up. See what you can add. Yes, sir. Yes. Yes, I'm happy to say yes. Today we have 350 plus VMs. When we did the test, we failed over, it was right at the beginning, we failed over 50 VMs, and it failed over in a matter of, how long was that, Kevin?
Yeah, about an hour and a half at that point.
Hour and a half. And with the new environment, they're going to do another test here this weekend. So it's odd to say you can do a test that way. When I worked at the bank, a test was something you geared up for over a year, you dreaded, something you had to do over the weekend. The mainframe had all their stuff and ship tapes to SunGuard or whatever you did. But on the open system side, it's kind of like one of those black sheeps, We really need to recover, but it's not realistic to recover in some ways. Now, with SunGuard, I've been out of the bank for a little while. They might have SRM capabilities with that, and if they do, or if you have an off-site, cloud provider, service provider like that, and they can do SRM with you, or you can put your SAN on there, it can make it really, really easy. We have not. Yeah, at DODD right now, the only physical servers we have left are fax servers and backup servers, and that's it, which we didn't want in the virtual environment. And we have those at both locations. And that's it. Yes, sir. There is. Yes, it has that capability. Kevin, given the technical. It is one single fan on each site, and we're up to, what are we up to, 13 terabyte at each location about? Yeah. One single compellent fan. Compellent keeps it simple. Every 15 minutes. We have different levels of RPO and RTO depending on the application. SQL servers do it a little differently, but our application is set for every 15 minutes. Yes, sir. It's scary to have in a data center. Yes. By SRM? 100% of our environment is supported by SRM. Are there any applications? Well, besides Exchange, the only ones that aren't are Exchange and our domain controllers.
Active Directory and Exchange are not supported using SRM. Right now, they may in 5.0 when it comes out. So is this the need for the back of domain controllers related where they're not supported as group of snapshots out there?
Yeah. We have our domain controllers are at 3 different sites for our redundancy. 2010, we're using DAG to do the replication between the 2 sites and recover. Yes, sir. No, all of them are, and we have a priority list of which ones we bring up first, SQL servers and stuff, and then manually bring up some web apps, stuff like that. But definitely all of our tier 1 applications are covered under SRM, and they're all virtualized. Actually, Brian Brothers, who is my person on that, does it in about 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's part of the VM creation process. Basically, the protected groups are based on one. There's a lot of other,
Any more questions we can help you out with? So, do you want me to go back to the Dilberts one more time? All right, because those are kind of fun.
Our disaster recovery plan goes something like this. Someday we hope to have a budget.
So if there's one thing I would like you to take away from here is that SRM it's not something that's a miracle. It is depending on your environment, of course, and your situation, but it's very easy to set up. There are nuances associated with configuring it, but there are not many. There's the governance around it, taking care of it, which isn't a lot, but just like anything else, as long as you have the process wrapped around it, it'll take care of itself. So SRM has helped us have the confidence to know that if the governor asks us, can we recover, we can, without confidence, without putting any hands behind our back, we can tell him absolutely yes, we can. And if he asks us if we've done it, we can tell him yes, we have. About 13 terabytes at each site.
How many servers?
I have about 350 servers. Yeah.
Yeah, their storage assets really on top of things. Everything's thin and it's compelling, and they're pretty much using it. Oh, okay. Yeah, there's all, everything's thin. Yep. They're thin. Yeah, they're thin and compelling, and they're using thin.
Yeah. And the SRM is all part of our strategy, again, with our server virtualization project, having 2 sites to recover to, and we're 100% virtualizing our servers, and we're just completing our desktop virtualization where where we'll be 98% virtualized on our desktops, about 1,500 desktops. So in the course of just a little under 2 years, this department, this agency, and the team, which Kevin was part of, has turned the agency completely around and virtualized the entire agency and set the disaster recovery capability for it. So it's been a fun ride, a quick ride, but had a good team to help, and the technology was at the right time, the right place to do all those things. So I appreciate your attendance, and have a great day.